PC WrestlePod fam, this has been a week. Welcome back to the Just Three Gents podcast with the extended edition tonight. We added into the Peter Jackson cut. We've got all the extra deleted scenes. This was epic, to be fair. We've got the professor here with myself, JVL. We are missing Mikey tonight, and we were supposed to have Adolfo for the Rampage part of this, but he is also taking time for his mental health. Good luck to both of them. If you haven't joined us before, welcome. Our pledgings to those deep ones out there in the Bay have really worked to bring you to the surface. We're really happy you've joined us here. What you're going to see here is the professor and I basically making an ass of ourselves, talking about our opinions about a wrestling show, being that we are not actual wrestlers, but that we understand the sport and the entertainment. At the same time, if you have been here before, thank you so much for that, but why aren't you subscribed yet? Please subscribe to the channel at PC WrestlePod. Hit that alert bell. Make sure you get notifications about all our different stuff all during the week. You could also join our Patreon. Give us a little bit of money there. See some live watch-alongs for the big pay-per-views and some other great content hopefully coming soon. We do have merch. It's coming soon as well, so be able to buy that stuff. And coming up soon, May 18th and 19th, down in New Jersey, Middletown Township, we will be at New Jersey Wrestle Show. The East Coast boys and Mikey will make our faces known, and you get to witness us meeting in person for the first time and realizing how much we all hate each other. It's gonna be wonderful.
Is that what's gonna happen? Everyone's gonna go,
I'm assuming so. I'm pessimistic in general, or we'll just chop each other and then make out. Either one works at this point, but
that's what I'm missing? Oh,
that's what you're missing, and that is what you, the Wrestle Talk fam, are gonna see down in New Jersey. However, Professor,
bunch of grown men chopping each other and making out. That's kind of amazing.
Simultaneously, it's like passing it around. It's one of those things you would do in college when you pass around a certain thing in a circle.
There are hot tags too. It's like, I'm in. Chop. Ugh, blah.
Well, the hot tag is, tap, tap, slide, and then you go right in. But see, this is why I do this show, folks. It's not to talk about wrestling. It's not to be with anybody else. It's to make the professor laugh, because that makes my soul happy.
So many jokes, but we're going to get demonetized.
It's okay. No one's watching. Anyway, this, as I was half joking, Professor, this was the extended edition because due to playoffs and all the other stuff, Rampage was stacked on top of Dynamite this week. So we got a double feature. It felt like a Raw on a Wednesday night. Wonderful. This was the tale of two shows. This was the tale of building storylines and then kind of teasing things in between and then kind of blowing the first 2 hours out of the water in less than an hour.
Yeah,
so,
a lot of gear shifts here, in the sense that it legitimately felt like there were 5 producers. Hey,
which there were.
Let's do this angle, that angle, this thing, that thing, and let's think of this, think of that. I didn't dislike the choices they made. I thought some of them were actually new and different in a good way. Like, this direction, this angle, this thing. We called it last week with Tony Khan wearing the neck brace and selling it, and then had it on for the draft, which we were all very excited about, and
still moving his neck because he wasn't selling it at all.
Yeah, doesn't know how neck brace works. That's fine. That's okay. You met me enough for me to go, I like it. You're in. Okay, fine.
Then he goes off on his tirade, which was a whole different thing.
Okay.
But having him to start the show.
Yeah. Goodness.
And having the Bucks call him out and say they're having technical difficulties because he can't be there and cutting him off. I'm loving the In Control Bucks. The new intro, which is all the Elite on there, just clips of the Elite for Dynamite. Good. Love that they're leaning into this. Love this so much.
Yeah. I think it's fun. And it built where we were going, right? Because we had this, which I agree. Last week we said it should have been a reveal. And after watching all 3 hours of this, it should have been a reveal that there was a Kenny Omega.
Yeah,
I
very
think
much so.
Would have landed better. We'll talk about the acting or overacting of that spot later on. I think it should have been a reveal. I think it should have been a surprise thing. The crowd should have had that tension underneath, because then they really would have had the pop and the fireworks. That's just my opinion, but I'm not in charge. I'm not one of the 8 producers who worked on this.
I would say that they did still get that kind of almost, to the point there, getting you so excited and then taking the rug out from under you in the first section here. Because we had Swerve come out, talk about that, the fact that he's ready to have his next opponent put out there. He wants someone else to come out and wipe their feet on the mat and wipe their feet before they come into Swerve's house. And the Bucks pop on and they, run him down for all the bad mouthing he's been doing about them. And they set up a great Canadian wrestler who, you know, is from around the area and, you know, has been a former champion and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, they're basically teasing Kenny Omega. And we get Christian Cage in the family.
Which is kind of funny because that's where I went actually, and I thought the bait and switch was actually really funny. It's sort of like this, and then we get that patriarchy countdown. Like, wait, oh yeah,
enough time has passed. Jericho, take a page out of Christian's book. He lost, went away for like a month or a couple of weeks at least, and now he's back in a title picture.
Fine,
could work. And
works.
Christian doesn't start his promo right away. He picks the mic up and gets a cheap shot under the jaw with the mic.
So this is the fourth or fifth time someone's hit someone with the mic, and now it's getting funnier and funnier to me. It just makes that little sound every time.
Well, and it wasn't like a clocking with the mic or coming across. He like jabbed it like a knife into his neck. He's like,
Meh. Oh man.
Mother Wayne standing by, just clapping, sort of. You know, it was
funny. I love, and I'm glad they spoke to this because it absolutely works, that Christian was echoing where we were a year and a half ago with Nick Wayne and AR Fox and breaking in and the murder and the death of the father and Darby there and all that stuff. So I do appreciate that tie-in. I do think it's hilarious to hear Christian be like, my son, like, wait, what?
Yep, he is now.
It's just hilarious. It kind of makes me miss where all that was a year and a half ago. I was nostalgic for the AR Fox run, which I still don't know how that happened or didn't happen. I kind of miss Nick Wayne wrestling. I kind of want to see, like, there was an element of like, oh, that's right, we were going somewhere, and then it kind of stopped.
It derailed. And that's partially to blame for AR Fox for all the stuff with, you know, going to Wembley and all that. Right. But on top of that, he got punished. It also, there was change in with Darby and everyone else and trying to get to Sting's last match. It just was everything else. But I love that they called back to dead storylines you thought they would never get back to. Right. That they're now going to pay off in a certain way. Brutal little scene there as, you know, Killswitch, you know, Luchasaurus pulls out a braid from his head. Woof. And I couldn't tell if it was gimmicked or not. It may not have been, but it came right on the top. And that Winnipeg crowd was hot, yelling, "Eat it," to him at the same time.
Winnipeg crowd was different last night. Some of their cheers and chants were like, whoa, that's a little close to home. From what I know of dreads and seeing dreads ripped out of folks' heads from punk shows, I actually, there's this, it does hurt a little, but it's almost like a quick Velcro rip thing. So that probably actually happened.
Jeez.
Which, rough. I like the spot, though. I thought it was probably one of the stronger spots of the 3-hour block. Which is interesting that this is within the first 10 minutes of the thing.
Well, they needed to come out strong with all the eyes that are on them after the draft and everything else. You want to show off your champion. You want to show off where you're going with it. And having them set the table with backstory for any new watchers is like, oh, maybe I should watch next week and see where this is going. So
we're trying to tap into that playoff audience, right? The sort of off-night folks that are just tuning into stuff. Yeah.
That's what we needed, which we then jumped into again in our next match, which was we got the backstory we had from the last couple of weeks. We have everything else kind of building to what's been changing as Adam Copeland is taking on someone from the House of Black. No one could know who this is, Buddy Matthews. No one could know it's him, Buddy Matthews. No one could expect the first match that House of Black has with Adam Copeland would be Buddy Matthews. But it is. And this is for the TNT Championship. We know the outcome that's coming around, and yet these two subverted my expectations. They didn't have a classic Buddy Matthews match, which is bouncing all over the ring, basically being the most agile and strong guy in the thing. They didn't have a classic Copeland match, which is, exceedingly slogging and just a lot of bad punches. This was a bit of a bruiser beatdown, and then they set Buddy up as the face with the bleeding and coming from behind spot.
Yeah, they did some twists and turns here for sure. I caught that. I clocked that as well. Like, wait a minute, okay. This is the best Copeland's looked in probably a month and a half or so. Kind of has
Right.
had a second win. Probably needed a week or two to breathe. I don't want to speculate anything. I don't think it was an injury or anything like that, but I think he was working super hard, and I think he caught up with him. I thought all the work on the outside was really great.
Oh my gosh.
I thought, yeah, there was some crazy stuff here. So this is my first mention of commentary for the night. Commentary was not terrible last night. I think they actually followed a pretty good through line. That's just my opinion.
Kinda, yeah.
They didn't insert themselves into the match awkwardly and inappropriately like they could
they
have.
saved it for the matches that made sense with later on in the night.
Yeah. So I this is weird to say. It's been so awkward the last 10 Dynamites that this one then being like, oh, you're kind of making sense now. Oh, okay, great. But a good match, solid match. I think
Long match. 2 commercial breaks.
I was trying to get a timestamp on it just now. It ran a long time.
Yeah.
Not quite 20 minutes, but 17, 18 at least. Like, this thing was moving. And I don't know if that was because, hey, we're in Canada, so we have to give more to the Canadian fans or what. But did you think the blackouts were botched or off? There was something weird there. Am I crazy?
At the top, before we had Malachi Black's voice, yeah, that wasn't supposed to be a blackout. That was supposed to just be spoopy. And then the blackout happened, so Buddy Matthews can come out. I think they prematurely did it to do it, and it just didn't make sense.
Yeah. There was like, blackout, nothing. Okay. Blackout, person. Okay. Blackout, new person. Okay. What are we doing?
Well, the 2 second blackouts are his entrance. Like, he comes down in a blackout, and then he appears in the ring. Like, that's supposed to be that way, but the first one was a little off.
Yeah.
I also noticed in this, I don't know if you caught this, and this is honestly serious, the big question of the match, John. Can Adam Copeland actually throw a punch? Because those looked like the weirdest soft potatoes I have ever seen, and I don't know whether he was just tired or was trying not to hurt him.
I don't know. They were, and they're coming off awkward to me.
Yeah, they're not registering no power.
Yeah. And I'm, because he hits and he can hit hard. The turnbuckle ones were sold pretty well. Some of the jabs and like doing like the overhead Shatner thing on the turnbuckle and some of these other things was sort of like there's a lot of, I don't know. Yeah, I'm seeing some of these punches now. 1 or 2 of them looked like they missed a little too.
Mm-hmm.
So either he was really trying to take care of Buddy and not hit him in the face, or something's up. I think
age has caught up to him because he's trying to throw them like he used to throw them in the other Fed.
Yeah.
But he's not young and can't seem to get the torque on it that he used to. So like he's doing it all with the shoulders and not with the fist or the elbow.
Sure.
And I feel like at this point, your fists aren't effective. You should be elbowing and doing elbow shots.
Sure, maybe, yeah. I wonder, I don't want to fault anyone for being old because there's plenty of other folks we can fault for being old.
Mm-hmm.
But someone like Edge who's taken such good care of himself.
Yeah.
Everything else I thought it was really solid. I don't want to say serviceable in like passing, but like good match.
Yeah.
I'm trying to clock the time of this. This ran well over 20 minutes. This looks like
Exactly.
It's 23, 24 minutes. This is a long one.
It jumped to 2 picture-in-pictures. It was very long. And honestly, probably could have lost one of those and been okay. You could have gone down 10-15 and been fine with this. The right person won in that respect. And then we have this whole movement of Adam Copeland going heel, delving deep. He's about to give Buddy a concerto after the win. Like, he won the match. And we get a blackout, and Malachi Black appears and doesn't stop him. He entices him to try to do it.
I kind of liked that.
I'm with that.
I love it.
And Copeland's sell of like, wait, no, and then he raises it up.
Yeah.
And they disappear.
I like it a lot. There's me being old. It's a throwback to kind of the Brood stuff, which when the Edge and Christian came in, there's this weird, darker Edge thing that when Edge came up with them, that it was like, oh my God, they drink blood and they do creepy, weird shit in the dark. Oh, and then having House of Black tied into this now, it echoed that for me. I'm not taking that for granted. I'm not saying, oh, that's what the choice was, but there's a part of me that was like, oh, damn, it's Edge kind of really in that realm, like the supernatural wrestling stuff, which when done well is probably my favorite, but it's not always done well.
The funniest part to me is if they play this right. I mean, they already were like dropping hints with that too. Having Buddy Matthews be bleeding from the mouth, and having to do that, like they're getting toward that kind of thing.
That looked scary for a minute because that looked legit. Like you compressed your lungs and did the pulmonary. I can't think of the name of it, where the little things get smashed and then the blood comes up.
The edema,
yeah. That looks scary.
It did.
And commentary
gathering, it was a work.
I'm not sure. It is a work. Commentary felt like they weren't sure.
Yeah, right. But they're also selling this change as well, so it was a little hard to kind of gauge.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Do we think? I mean, he's a free agent right now. We grab Gangrel, bring him over to be able to take on House of Black. He has to delve into that, like get to that dark place again.
How cool would that be? Gangrel has said he's been waiting for the call for years, and he sounded a little bitter that he kind of got dropped on his head by WWE and all that, and that he didn't talk to them after that happened, and that arc kind of went away. And I've also heard him say like they were friends at the time, but that wasn't like they were super close after the fact. However, at the end of that interview, which I can go find it, I can send it to you. This was maybe 2-3 years ago. He does mention like, but I'd love to do it again. And he's not, I mean, he's probably about their age. He's not old.
He's not much older. And also, unlike the last time where it was going to be in the Fed, they're all together. Christian's on the brand. They're all around.
How wild would that be? That would be something else. I would love to see that. I think that would be a cool nod to them. Yeah,
it would be insane. And then he brings his patriarch along with them. It'd be ridiculous. Let's hope. Let's see what they do with it. But it was a good kind of bog standard title match for TV that went on a little too long. But it was good to get people involved,
for sure.
Because we then move on to the most bizarre squash that I've seen in a while. Samoa Joe needs a win back, so a tag team wrestler is going to come out and sacrifice himself to him, mostly just to pop the crowd, because Joe was the babyface in this match the entire time. I have to ask you, how badly do you think Isaiah Cassidy wrecked his back doing that nope spot where he lands the tope over the top rope, flat-backed on that mat?
That took me out of it. As we talk in stage combat and stuff like that, is you never want to be worrying about the safety of the actors, the performers. You want it to be dangerous so I can tell the story of it. Right. That looked like, oh my God, that's a tailbone. Like, oh my God. You heard that. It sounded like a baseball crack. Crack.
I was surprised he didn't like blow his lungs out and be able to not breathe for a bit there or anything else.
Sure,
Like, he actually seemed to be breathing fine.
Vroom, like, oh my.
Even Joe knew it when he turned around. It's like, oh.
That sucks. This was I don't want to... How do I articulate this squash match? With a gong. I think you're right. I think it was a gong. I think it was a brang. I did not hate this. It was a little jarring. Because usually it's a squash match. 1 minute. You get 45 seconds.
Right.
You can hit me one time. They kind of tried to do something with this. And I didn't hate it, but even Joe's sort of like, what are we doing? Like, how long?
Well, the staring down the camera lens for no apparent reason. That you would do that if you were in a feud with somebody, but this is nothing.
Right. Sure.
And the only reason you book Isaiah Cassidy is to get him to be thrown high and do that scream spot that he's known for.
Which was really funny.
It was. I'm not saying it was wrong to do it. Ah! Right up and down. But it just... Good. Oh, my God. And then the muscle buster quick off. It really just was bam, 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 we're done. We're going home. Yeah. Joe gets a paycheck. I don't know where they're going with him. I don't know what they can do because, as we talked about before Swerve won the title, Joe could have carried that for a bit longer. Could have taken a little farther.
That's
and
why
now they've taken it off of him. Yeah, what do you do?
That's why I kind of had Joe. Was like, it's a little soon in my opinion, and you still have farther to go. It sucks to make Swerve wait, but it didn't make sense in my opinion to do it so soon. I'm still happy for Swerve. Swerve should have it. That makes Swerve one of only, oh God, what was the number? 12 black/people of color to have a heavyweight title belt in any promotion. Like, yeah, that's huge.
On top of being the first one here.
First AEW, absolutely. So, did they write themselves into a corner? Maybe. Does Joe now have nothing to do? Kinda. But I think Joe can kick off a feud anytime. They might just be waiting to pull the trigger.
I hope my hope is that he ends up turning his attention toward Moxley or someone over at BCC and have a decent like back and forth thing where he can actually be challenged for something.
A Moxley Joe feud would be wild. Yeah, well, I don't want to speculate too much because we got stuff to talk to, but maybe Joe just needs squash matches for a while. Maybe Joe's a little tired. Maybe Joe just needs to. I love Manitoba's Joe's Gonna Kill You. I thought that worked really well.
They're the best out there. I actually really enjoyed the crowd tonight. It was so much fun. They were behind also great. Like we had a nice promo from Sky Blue, a little video promo like setting up what was going to happen later on in Rampage because she keeps beating Willow. She gets a TBS title shot even though Mercedes has called it for Double or Nothing. It's going to be what it's going to be, but she seemed to have some fire to her, which her cohorts have not. She's now kind of listless that Julia is injured. What do you do with her? You stick her in a title picture. Great. Awesome.
She's done pretty well treading water in the mid-card and sort of figuring... Sadly, the way that she turned, I guess that was like over the summer, right? Where we had that big Sky Blue turn, right? Since then, it's been sort of waiting for others to make a play so she can do something. I'm a huge Sky Blue fan for thousands of reasons. She's fantastic to watch in the ring. Fantastic match to end the entire night, which we'll talk about when we get there.
Spoilers.
I said fantastic match. All I said was fantastic match time.
I know. Spoilers.
But she needs a fighting force. She needs something to do.
Yeah, she's got everything but the storyline. It needs to be something built better, and I'm wondering if something's going to come out of this with Stat, with, is she going to get bumped up again to lose to Toni Storm after the next bid there? Who knows what's happening in that?
Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting take. Yeah, that could be cool.
There are ways for her to go, but we'll talk about her later in the night because that set up an interesting match. Okay. I need your help understanding this.
This hurts you. You okay?
It does, because it affects one of my favorite wrestlers.
Oh, no.
And it's not that they're doing things with him that might not make sense. It's that the logic in this makes no sense. Orange Cassidy comes out to let people know that he's got, basically, one, that Chuck Taylor may never wrestle again. I really hope that's kayfabe, because I'd just be very sad for Chucky T not being able to come back. And that he's mad at Trent Beretta, so he's going to have to make him pay for this because obviously it's his best friend. Beretta interrupts him. This seemed like they went off script quickly and were yelling at each other about to do something to each other. Pull apart brawl. Stat comes out, removes Orange Cassidy, and then Don Callis to whisper in his ear. But Trent's the heel, and then I don't want my phalluses next to my oranges. It's just what I'm saying, basically. It makes no sense.
Wait.
Dom Phallus, right?
Oh, right. That's what we're talking about. I was going to say, that's a hell of a fruit basket. I didn't understand this either. In fact, the crowd got deflated and sad in the sense of, oh, that's where we're going? And you can hear this sort of odd... Yeah, gong. You can hear this sort of odd hush thing underneath. Everyone goes, oh, shit.
Because they were sort of into it and the brawl was happening. They were ready to go with it because they're upset about Chuck. And then
I love Statlander coming out there. I thought the crowd going out. I thought, okay, we're going to get more of this and this. We're hinting at this. Great. Putting I almost said the wrong thing. Putting a phallus out there next to Orange Cassidy did not do anything.
It didn't intrigue me. I really don't care what he said to him because I don't want this to happen.
And if man, I think Orange Cassidy is smarter than most because he's held on to this character for years now.
Right.
He's cultivated it. I really hope this isn't a turn to go away from that. Or I don't know what a heel turn Orange Cassidy would be. I don't know if it works like that.
Well, and this also doesn't make sense because they just turned Trent heel.
Right.
And he hates Orange Cassidy. So why? You need a babyface.
I mean, unless we're unless we're trying to build some sort of faction civil war with Osprey, so they're trying to pull Orange in there arbitrarily so that they can have this split of phallus family fighting each other. Fe. But even then, like, that's just me going full Pepe Silva and pointing things on the board. Like, this could be the thing that they're trying. But it doesn't make any sense. Did not make any sense.
No, yeah, like, is he offering him matches with anyone of his family? Like, what the? There makes no sense with it. And I don't know if they're going to even get to this before Double or Nothing. So,
I mean,
who the hell knows what's going on?
Will Ospreay, Orange Cassidy? Oh, my God.
It's been done.
Really?
Then there's Kyle Fletcher. Yeah, it has. It was done at the first Forbidden Door. Go back and watch it, Professor.
I guess so, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Match of the night there. But, Kyle Fletcher's there with a title that they could probably take off of him and get him off ROH. Send Cassidy down there. Who knows? It makes no sense, and that's what bothers me, because this was like you're back from the ad break, and we get this. Yeah.
I think it also could have just been Don Callis going, "It's Canada. I want to walk out there."
Well, he did, but he could have been anywhere else.
Anywhere else.
Put him out there at the Jericho mid-card vortex. He loves being there. Before we got to that, though, Renee with the EVPs, and they're looking for Kenny, and Jack Perry comes out and cuts his promo, and it wasn't mentioned till later in the night when basically there was a sign out basically saying that Jack Perry can't draw, just like the person who made the sign who also can't draw. It's basically, myself and Jack Perry, we both can draw about the same. So they're pushing him hard.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You drinking
moonshine? I something
moonshine?
wrong here. Let me take a second. Hold on. Had a long day of talking with kids, so my voice is kind of shot. But
no, you drink all the moonshine you need.
I will do my best. This is straight off the still, so it's very nice.
I was gonna say, it's gonna be rough.
It's blue. But so Jack Perry makes his thing. He gets into it. He talks it through.
Good.
I'm not invested. I honestly don't care right now. Let's move on from Jack Perry. He gets his own later.
Yeah. I like heel Jack Perry. The push feels a little too pushy, if that makes sense. Like, we get it, you're pushing. We get it, you're pushing. We get it. They can lean off the gas a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just like our next freaking thing.
Ave Maria.
Here's what I'll say before we dive into this match. Jericho has leaned into this so much that it's starting to make sense. The go-away heat is dying a bit back down to just we don't care.
Right.
I think this is better than he was doing, but I still want him to leave. I don't want him around for a while. You set up your little minion, let him be your voice, leave.
I think it's they just insist on pushing this Chris Jericho thing. I do appreciate him leaning on it this way, because there is something, old school heat about this. Like, fine, you don't like me, I'm going to make you not like me even more, and I'm going to ignore you. And it's going to work, so you're going to hate me even more. So I understand it. Part of me wanted to hope. Part of me has hoped that Chris Jericho was professional enough to know when to step aside, and he has shown he has not, time and time again. So the fact that this is learning tree, and then probably my favorite promo of the year so far last week with Bill was so bad it was hysterical, so bad it was amazing. I know. I don't even have. It's like, wow. It's hard to even articulate, right?
Because there's such a clear path for this that is not being taken, and instead of that, they're basically calling out all the fans for everything we're saying.
I think that's what it is. It's like there's an obvious solution, and you just want to subvert the fans, right?
Yeah. It's a very old school Fed tactic, which didn't work.
Yeah.
The match, however, we had for the FTW Championship, putting Shabata out there, which they should be taking care of him, but they're not, was better than it had any right to be in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I did like this match. Yeah, I think it was Shabata.
Oh,
I think it was completely Shabata. I think hockey pucks instead of thumbtacks was kind of funny. I'm fine with that.
I was more worried about those because those do more damage. Certain ways
Those are going to hurt
land on them.
way more, and I think that's why Christian took the bump, not Shabata.
Yeah, Chris Jericho
fine,
took those a couple times. Although whacking themselves in the face during the submissions, great idea with pucks.
I think that's the best use of a trash can since EO Sky.
That is
Easily.
my moment of the night. Is the only reason I got on board with this is Shabata no-selling shots to a trash can and scaring the crap out of Jericho by walking at him with it. Like,
so funny.
Only Shabata could pull that off. The lion salt at the top was it was his worst so far. He cannot hit that. He needs to stop.
And commentary tried to throw him a rope and it just did not work. Like, oh look, he got him in the knees. Like,
also, picture in picture. Did you watch what happened in picture in picture?
I tried to. Did I miss something?
Each other for 4 minutes. That's all they did.
Yeah. It started before picture in picture. They came back from picture in picture. They were still chopping. It kept going.
Yeah.
So, and there are others here on WrestlePod that talk of chop fests and whatnot. I can go either way. I kind of loved that we're going to do this for 5 minutes. Okay? Okay,
God.
And Shabata no-selling all of them. And Jericho overselling every single one of them.
I heard Andrew cringing somewhere. It was wonderful.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think Andrew would, to invoke Andrew, I think after 2 minutes, Andrew would have been like, this is the worst match of the year. By the time we got to 4 and 5 minutes, he would probably be about it. Like, oh, I get it. You want to talk chops too much? Let's show you chops too much. You're a burr.
It's come all the way back around. But yeah, no, that spot with the trash can, a couple of the hockey pucks to the face when like he's putting his knee bar on him and he get him off there. Perfection in that respect too. Brutal lariats all the way through. Like Shabata carry this entire thing basically.
Yeah.
And then we got Big Bill.
And why? So something with these FTW matches, they're not hardcore matches. And it's driving me crazy that they're not actually hardcore matches. They're just
we had a better hardcore match later on in the night.
Way better. Even that was still okay. I still my promo of the year is Bill last week. I respect that Bill is here. I understand why Bill is involved. I don't understand why this thing. I thought Shabata kind of got done dirty here, but Bill's there. Okay, fine. Like,
no, it wasn't fine. Like, you want to have an interference spot in an FTW match, either have it happen earlier or something. They had built such respect with this to have it end that way, even with Daddy Jericho sitting there at ringside. Like, seriously.
No, I think it could have had a way better ending, but it just meh. Like, okay, meh thing for meh storyline. Fine.
It sets up for a promo later in the night is basically what it was there for.
Which is sad that Shabata got chopped for 4 minutes to set up a promo later in the night, basically.
And it wasn't him doing it with his Duolingo, which would have been great. But we jump from that mess to setting up our main event for Rampage. Willow gets her promo with everybody there, and basically they go after the EVPs. They go after a bunch of stuff that's saying that Sky Blue's up here, but I'm not taking my eyes off Mercedes. Renee gets a text from the EVP saying that she needs to smile more. I love that she like subtly set that in. Like, I've heard this enough times. I'm done with that. And the EVPs say that, because of everything that's gone on, we're making a new rule. Stoke and Stat and Stokely will not be allowed at ringside. And Stokely, you have a very awesome line here. Aside from my own actions, why am I being banned at ringside? The writing is crisp. Stokely, you're amazing.
Yeah, I think Stokely's growing on me. I was sort of meh for a while, but now I kind of get it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is absurd.
Well, I mean, you find Big Bill funny, so I understand it's a hard thing for you to find actual comedy well done, but that's beside the point.
Shots fired! I find Big Bill funny because he shouldn't be. That's why. You are 6'10", massive piece of man meat, and you shouldn't be. You should be a 5'2". That's a different conversation.
He should be Stokely Hathaway. Either way. Okay. This seemed like a filler match to get Claudio a win next, because Claudio took on Brian Cage.
Why was Claudio's promo in front of like a local Hilton? Like some casino.
Because they couldn't afford the La Quinta. I mean, seriously.
It's such a random, like, I'm putting my stuff in this rental car. Thanks for coming. I'm gonna go.
Brian usually takes my bags, but tonight he said I had to do it myself.
Come
my
to
hat is backwards.
Hotels.com got me a discount on this hotel. Like, it just felt so, like,
your delivery is better than his anyways. Again, we talk about how Claudio can't give promos. The professor does it better, and you have the right look. You should have given it for him.
I would have been great. I'm just like maybe 6 inches too short, and I'm not as muscly, but I bet I could.
We'll get you lifts.
Can we do Gattaca lifts so they're permanent?
Yes, we'll do that.
Those are gonna hurt so much.
We'll cut your femur in half and move it up. But he takes on Brian Cage in a Haas fight beyond all Haas fights. Yeah. I loved watching it, though these two work each other very well. Why are we sacrificing Brian Cage to Claudio for a win? Because both need wins. Like, shouldn't we give Claudio a squash with someone else?
What's funny is Brian Cage does not look small next to Claudio. He looks average next to Claudio.
Yeah.
Which is still trippy to think about. Like, oh my gosh, you just look like a normal muscle head. Wait, what? I love Manitoba chanting meat. I thought them chanting meat was fantastic. I just like Brian Cage a lot. Brian Cage is a lot of fun to watch.
Did you see him, like, Claudio tried to help the suplex from the outside to the inside, and he kicked him off and said no, and then muscled him over his head? Like, it's my spot, man. I'm doing that.
Dude's a monster. I did not think Claudio would be able to do the helicopter as long as Claudio did, because that's a large man spinning, and that...
So the helicopter is a whole different move that Ric Flair was actually pretty big on in the day. You're thinking of the big spin, but the airplane spin, but yeah.
I'm sorry. And if you go to meatspin.com, you too can get that joke.
I've never seen that much meat in a dryer before, but it went around and around and around into a sharpshooter.
Oh, the kids in there in the sandbox. I think that this was a fine man meat match. I did not hate this at all. I thought it was fun. I do agree with you. It was sort of a vehicle for Claudio. There was that Alabama Slam thing into whatever looked like that was the whole. I thought the ring was going to cave in.
Yeah,
some of those were like, whoa, this is wild. I think Brian Cage. I know Brian Cage
needs to run with a mid-card title.
He's had the belt a few times. He's had some things. Yeah, I want to see him do more cool stuff. I don't think I've seen him do a promo ever.
No. And he can. He's actually really good at it.
Yeah. And I'm not sure. He's not very old. He's also been around a long time. I'm not sure why he's being used this way.
Because they didn't use him in what they should have this time, which is to come back up Swerve where he's supposed to have been with Mogul Embassy.
Right.
But he's not for some reason. They cut off his mohawk. They changed him up. It's craziness.
But he entered as Mogul Embassy, not Don Callis' family. So what are we doing? The sun
no one knows with this.
The sun is eating my face. I'll be right back.
Go be back. While we wait for the professor to stop absorbing vitamin D from the sun, we can talk about the fact that this was a longer match than we expected, and Claudio still didn't get over as the face, even though he was supposed to be by doing Bret Hart's move. It's really tough to make yourself a face against Brian Cage because he's so darn good that you end up with this manly thing that either they need to run this back like he did with Sheamus, give it a couple of different matches, or ignore it completely and get both of them another win, because this is just wasting a lot of your talent that could be in that mid-card hunt against Copeland doing the open challenge. However, we get off that match, we come off of the giant meat explosion, and we find ourselves... Yeah, I know, it's a meat explosion. We come back from the meat explosion, because it was a explosion. He came out
that makes more sense. Carry on.
We get a Rocky Romero promo talking about his feelings on his friends, and he's like, well, I need to actually fight another friend in Kyle O'Reilly to really get myself back on track. I didn't believe he was friends with Kyle O'Reilly. It didn't seem right, but I was like, okay, we'll see how the match goes, because, these two are amazing wrestlers. It should be fun.
Sure. Yeah. It's fine. I think Renee saves promos when they don't work. She kind of saved this one with just that subtle, I'm going to stare Like,
Her subtle way.
lovely moment. Hi, back to you, sort of thing. We got to talk about the next one. Let's talk about the next thing.
We will, because that was my match of the night. This was my match of the night for Dynamite.
This is your match of the night? Oh,
for Dynamite. For Dynamite.
Oh.
For Dynamite.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Fair.
Because we had the Professor, Serena Deeb, taking on Mariah May to make sure she becomes the number one contender for Toni Storm's title. I have never seen someone bent into so many pretzel formations in a while, and Mariah May is an amazing opponent to give Serena Deeb all the leeway to get this set up.
Yeah, this was technically fascinating to watch.
Yes.
I don't think I have seen the Professor before, since I've been doing Dynamite anyway. I'm not sure much about her or her story or where she's been.
Oh, we can go into a whole thing off air about her entire history. For those, here's the short version. She came in as a wrestler in the independent scene, was brought into the Fed early on, and became part of the Straight Edge Society. She was the woman that shaved her head that CM Punk had there. She then was never used as a wrestler. She was new at the time, green, couple years. Went on the indies. Basically, became this technical mastermind. Really well done. Was picked back up by the Fed when NXT Black and Gold was in to be the women's trainer for that entire generation of women's wrestlers. Becky Lynch, Paige, all of those folks came in through her tutelage. She was a coach for a while, something else. She finally was released by WWE and was like, I want to get back to what I love, which is wrestling. Was picked up by AEW to be both a player coach. So she's been coaching the women and trying to find time to do her thing, because she's always been known as the Lance Storm of female wrestlers. Not the greatest promo. She's very flat, but she's an amazing wrestler, and she's getting better because she's leaning into her personality, which is no nonsense.
Yeah.
She's been injured for the last year, so she's been off TV.
I see.
And she's making her triumphant return now. That's where we are. You then stick her in this. You stick her in a match with Mariah May, who is not being utilized to her full potential. She is also amazing. I also love Mariah May complaining, "Where's my flag?" when she comes out. She wanted a flag. But I mean, this entire match can be summed up in one exchange. The Paradise Lock she puts her in, where she can get out of the lock and Mariah May is locked in with her fingers. She can't move, and Deeb can taunt, do anything else, and then kick her in the face. That is the inventiveness that Serena Deeb brings to the ring, and when you have a person willing to go there, it is magic. This entire thing was magic.
Yeah, I loved how fluid all of this was. Every duck or dip or even going under the kicks, even going into quick suplexes, even all these little, I don't want to say filler, but like a drum fill. Like, we're doing this to get to here. We're doing this to get to here.
We call it a transition.
Transitions, amazing. She hit Mariah May with one of those lariats, and I was like, oh, Mariah May is dead, but took care of her, followed her to the ground. Like, that looked like it hurt. I loved watching her. I was not super versed in her. After the promo last week, like we all said, we were like, okay.
Which we couldn't hear.
Right, we couldn't hear, and we weren't sure what was going on. And you and Mikey were like, we're so excited. And I was like, I don't know what to think. I thought this was great. Probably one of the better technical displays we've seen in the last month or two, outside of Dynasty, outside of some of the other things, right? Yeah, they put it all out there, and it's probably her trying to show out for sure, right? Because she's on TV again, she's working, she's doing this,
and with a woman who has not been shown that has this background.
Yes,
in stardom, could do this no problem. Yeah. You want her there. I would recommend for yourself and for our listeners here, if you haven't gotten a chance to, jump on YouTube and find the RJ City, Hey EW interview with her. Because she's not in character. She is herself, and she is not super funny, but just her intentions about things. She has a heart and a pulse. She's not just this killer. It's really interesting to listen to her laugh and be jovial about things and joke about things, which made me love her more. So we need more of this. I need to see this, and then her against Tony Storm and Tony throwing in the towel to stop her
Right.
from being tapped out. This puts the cracks in Mariah May and Tony that we need as well to kind of break that faction up as we get away, as Tony finally is going to lose her title at some point.
Yeah,
I don't think it's to Serena, but
I feel like they're trying to do this weird. They're trying to cut this perfectly in a way that Mariah goes heel, Tony turns face, and someone gets out unscathed. Does that make sense? It kind of feels like they're trying to finesse this thing to where they do clean breaks, but we do that by having matches done a certain way, as opposed to just, oh, you got attacked in the parking lot, or, oh, look, I'm going to interrupt your promo. Like, they're trying to build something with that. I hope that's true. We could talk about the bad booking of the women's division still, because that's still a problem that's there, but they're really trying to tailor this one. So we shall see. I haven't seen a towel throw in a while, which is sort of like, oh, interesting. It gets called back later on for sure. I am intrigued. We will see what happens.
If you can watch one match from Dynamite this week, go back and watch this one and the build up to it. It'll be well worth your while.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm still unsure about the next promo. I know what it was trying to do. I know what it was trying to build to. This is Adam Copeland talking with Renee about like not being himself out there. And he's interrupted by Kyle O'Reilly saying, I'm a big fan of yours from Canada. If you ever need someone to watch your back, I'm there. But he's looking at the title. And Copeland's getting jealous and wary and paranoid.
Yeah.
I know what it was trying to do. I don't think it got it across as well as it could have. It felt like this was kind of like take 4 and it didn't work as well.
Yes, that's actually about right, I would think.
Yeah.
I like Kyle. Great wrestler. Okay promos. When he has to go heads up with someone else, he shuts down.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of, I'm going to let you lead this. I'm going to be quietly sit here.
Intense.
And that kind of puts him in a weaker position as opposed to firing back and being active in the thing. And I'm not there. I'm not there to coach him. I'm not there to talk to him. He kind of holds his breath and waits for Edge to talk. Edge is still relaxed and loose and even commenting on, hey, I don't know the exact line he says, but he talks about what you were saying, where it's sort of like, yeah, I'm not quite, where I was at or what I'm feeling or whatever else, but
right.
Yeah. Odd promo. I think where they put this didn't do it good service either. It just kind of appeared out of nowhere.
If I'm thinking in kayfabe terms, this entire night has felt like, okay, one twin gets to book this match, and then we're going to book another one, but then so Matthew gets this one, Nicholas gets this one, and they picked back and forth, so there wasn't a rhyme or reason to the night. It just kind of like fell weird, and then there was no proofreading because they were getting ready for the next segment, because that was their big thing they had to build to. So that's the kayfabe thing I can think about, but I think the bookers were going along with it in certain reasons. Like they just didn't have a shape for this entire episode.
They got that involved? Do you think they were that heady about it? Like
they might have been. I have to think there has to be some input in that, but I just think also they couldn't figure out how to shape this into a discernible shape for this episode. So they kind of threw everything at the wall, see what fell down in what order, and they were just like, all right, we'll just put it in that order then, descending from the top to bottom.
Just put it, just do the thing.
Yeah, just go on.
Yeah.
Okay. Professor, I want you to dive into this. I want you to dive into the acting, the overacting, the veiled setups, the kind of not so subtle digs, the best colostomy bag joke that I've heard in a while as you transition to talking about other people, all that good stuff.
Kenny Omega comes out to his hometown to discuss coming back or not coming back, or how close he was to or not coming back. What took me out of, I paused this promo a few times because I had questions about diverticulitis, because I know people who have had it or have been in the hospital with it. Did you really? Yeah.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Sounds miserable. Sounds awful. Sounds terrible. I think Kenny Omega leaned heavily on the "it's a ticking time bomb, I'm gonna die" thing, which that's partially true. That's absolutely could happen for sure.
It's half the reason Brock Lesnar stopped wrestling,
right?
Because he also has it.
because he took a shot to the liver from Overeem and like blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So good. Overeem should have been so much better than he was. Anyway, he oversold it to me when he pushed all those words out. I'm not good with words. I'm not good with this. I'm not good with that. I could have died. They told me this. They told me that. Something was off from the beginning of that. So I don't think I don't want to say it was rust. It was sort of take a breath, be genuine, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Not to lean on another promotion, but it's sort of, hey, I have leukemia. This is my actual name. I'm going to be gone for a while. Right?
Yeah.
If you're going to relay heavy info, like, hey, they told me I was going to die. Right? Take a breath. Talk to your friend or friends, as opposed to lean on the exposition of, hey, everybody, so here's the thing. You get diverticulitis. I thought I was going to die.
Right.
You're not selling.
And this has all been corrupted out there in the press for the last
You don't have to. Your audience is smart. We know. You don't have to sell us the car. I'm already in it. Pull back. You can pull back on that a little bit.
Yeah.
So, fine. Commentary slow played this correctly, in my opinion. I think they kind of let him let it ride.
Yep.
What took me out of it was, if it's that dangerous, and yes, you have to fight for your life, as we'll talk about as he gets interrupted, then leave.
Don't get in the ring.
Like, if it's a ticking time bomb, if you get touched in the stomach, you are dead. As I would say in my acting class, and I know you're not here for acting lessons, people of YouTube, but like, then what keeps you in the room? Why do I have to stay here? Well, if it's that important that I speak to the people of Manitoba about why I'm here, then you got to make me care that you're here for them and you're their hero. And I don't think he kind of did in the next. Well,
I think I disagree on that, because he did transition then into his relationship with the Bucks and why he came in when he did, seeing all the crazy stuff they've been doing. He went into the storyline to be that EVP that still has power and therefore can keep them in check.
Sure.
It didn't go far enough to kind of still pull people along, but they at least had a through line for him, which was why he was there.
The text was there. The reasons were there. Sure. I agree with all that. I think what was missing then was, and I say this in my classes, you can't go faster than you can feel.
Right.
And I felt like he rushed the hell out of this.
Oh,
and what did not help this was putting the break from Dynamite into Rampage in the middle of this,
which we didn't know at the time.
I watch on YouTube TV, and it cut it off.
Yep.
Completely. And I was watching it live. It stopped it. And I went, oh my God.
They put a commercial break in.
What do I do?
Because I watched it on TV, and there was a commercial break.
Yeah, so then the next day, today, I had to go find a place to watch how the thing ended and what actually happened, because all I knew was it got interrupted. And I went, wait, what? When? And then I had to go back and watch the thing. So that kind of did a disservice to me.
And we're also skipping over the part now that he gets his words in. He says he's going to keep these, he might have to get cut open, have a colostomy bag the rest of his life, and he needs to call out some S-heads there.
It's a good line.
But
yeah, it's a good line.
He calls out the EVPs, wants to talk to them, and Okada comes out, and the tension in the room. Everyone was excited. He speaks to him in Japanese. Then he does something that, again, steps out of the bounds of what was going on with this promo. He says, let's run this back again. Give me a couple months.
Yeah.
So you're setting up matches even though you could die.
Right.
So, I don't know where you are, Kenny. I have no idea where you are in this thing. Okada, meanwhile, is doing the Trump lean, where he's fully at the waist. And I don't know whether that's a normal thing for him or just because he was wearing weird platforms with those pants. Yeah. I don't know. That kind of scared me a little.
So,
yeah.
I don't think you needed Jack Perry, as I'm sure everyone knows, Jack Perry coming in from behind. I don't think you needed to push him as this enforcer for the EVPs thing. If that's all he is now, is this guy who wears black sweatshirts and jumps people, that's a disservice to him. He's way better than that.
They're trying to make him Dominic Mysterio.
Dom or Solo Sokoa, like this sort of
Yeah.
oh, you show up and do these things. What took me out of the I don't want to jump to the end. Can we jump to the end? Or you want to keep narrating?
There's a couple things I want to bring up before this because what I want to do with this also, as we are in the extended edition here, I'm going to break here like they did for you, Professor, and I'm going to ask you awkward break to get your empanada rating for just Dynamite.
Okay.
Then we'll go into the other stuff.
Okay.
Because that's our bread and butter. We're jumping into Adolfo's realm at that point, and I have no idea. But
the realm of Adolfo. Yes.
There was a line Okada said before Jack Perry attacked him that made me pause and go, no, you're wrong. Because Omega brings up he's the best bout machine versus the Rainmaker, they should run it back. And Okada says, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm the best bout machine now. And I'm sitting there going, have you not seen Ospreay the last 4 or 5 weeks?
Right.
Have you not seen Kyle Fletcher the last 5 weeks? Okada, you're good, but you had a mediocre match at best at Dynasty against Pac, and Pac kind of carried you. Where's that coming from?
Yeah. I mean, that's heel talk, sure. But also, those of us who've been watching, we're kind of like, well, not really.
I was expecting a Family Guy cutaway to Ospreay going, hey, but just bruv.
On his couch doing the Leonardo DiCaprio thing.
Yeah, exactly. But as you said, Jack Perry comes out, attacks him from behind. He kind of runs off Okada, runs off Perry a bit. He's about to pull off a V-trigger. Okada does I think he missed his foot and Kenny oversold it, trying to get back to it.
Right.
And gets a full edge of a chair into his gut and sells it like it exploded.
Right. And if my understanding, and you don't have to relive any trauma, if that were to happen with diverticulitis, you have probably passed out or you are now dying.
Both.
Yeah, there's probably much feces and you're done. Probably not to compare oranges and phalluses, but could probably have sold this a bit more like how Bryan Danielson sold the neck injury. Sort of slow play the terror of the thing instead of the I'm being electrocuted by 1,000 volts of electricity in my butthole. Like, that's a different thing. Sorry, method acting. I threw it off my head.
It's a very different feeling to have that much electricity go through your butthole. But also, you're selling at that level, and you have the EVP still coming out to give you an EVP trigger to knock you out. Like, yeah, you should be fighting against it, but you then have to, you have more to sell. Like, then it's not as bad as it is. If there'd be no way they would touch him at that point.
That's the thing. You kind of buried the lead. And commentary tried to get him there. And I think commentary rarely kind of threw them the bone of like, this is dangerous. Get him out of the ring. You got to stop this. We got to call the police. We got to this. We got to this. I could be overthinking theater brain, a little too much of that, maybe, but yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about those very, very dangerous headshots that Perry gave to all of the security guards that came in? Those were incredibly scary and not well swung. This entire thing was a mess at the end there. It was.
Are we going to the next part? We're going to the next part?
We're about to. It was a mess overall. We also have to talk about FTR comes down to make the save.
Right.
And scatters the Elite. So that's kind of where they left it. Cut now. Just for Dynamite, Professor, what empanada scale would you give that?
I can't even see you now. Oh, the sun has decided to destroy me.
It's weird. You have Venetian blinds.
The promos kind of hit or miss for sure. Shibata chopping Jericho just brought me joy for 4 minutes of just wail on him.
Yeah.
Edge and Buddy was serviceable, but I didn't want to use that word. Nothing was horribly wrong. I loved Mariah May and the Professor. I thought that was a blast to watch. So I maybe 7.5 or so. I think there were some things that could have been tightened up and fixed for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I do think they played this like a 3-hour night. So they were trying to make it feel like it's a 3-hour carnival instead of the normal 2-hour feel, which is a different beast in itself. So yeah, not without talking it to death, I think that's where I landed.
I landed on about a 6.5 or a 7, probably about around a 7 as well. I think Serena Deeb and Raime carried it back up to where it needed to be, and even with the final bit there, it was good enough to be there. But it definitely felt like this was a rush job that could have probably had been self-contained and still had Rampage work well. But they wanted to carry it over. So that's all for us tonight, folks. I'm just kidding. We have to move on to Rampage. I'll do all the housekeeping again. We'll make sure. So if you hadn't joined up, subscribe. And no. I was filling time so you can figure out what you missed, because obviously, Professor, as you said, streaming it, they cut it where the if you want to go close those blinds, go for it. But
yeah, I'm gonna be right back. Sorry.
Basically, what the Professor had alluded to, there was a commercial break. You saw the Chiron at the bottom with Kenny laying in the ring. They said Dynamite was over. Stay tuned for Rampage. Rampage was coming up next. They did a couple commercials. Kenny is still in the ring. So we cut back to Rampage. It starts off with Kenny getting set up, and they put him on a stretcher. They roll him out. They tie him up tight, and they roll him out with FTR. They're trying to get him out to the ambulance. And I thought, if this is the end of it, that's good. You can set that up. We're not going to follow Kenny anymore. He's hurt. That's fine. No, we have more footage to look at of them in the back. Now making Kenny take one of the scariest bumps you can ever take as a wrestler when you're tied to a backboard, knocking over the stretcher, beating up FTR, and saying it's just business. And the horrible community theater level acting of the EMTs.
Oh my God. Awful.
Yeah, no.
To the point where, like, I have worked with law enforcement on movies and TV shows.
Yes.
Just so that they could teach us how to look and how to do it properly.
Mm-hmm.
If you are of that industry, nothing takes you out of it like someone not doing it properly at the job thing.
You mean the guy smirking and looking across like, ooh, I'm on camera, while he's waiting there with Kenny who's on the ground?
The fact that I was a lifeguard for a while, so I was trained on backboard stuff. You have a guy on a backboard, and he's not strapped in.
His arms are free.
No, his arm, but like they hit the thing. He should have gone with the board.
Yeah,
he should be strapped to the board, and he's using his arm and his thing. Okay, if Kenny Omega, if you are in that much pain, you have shat yourself. And now the electrical shocks are not happening anymore. And then you were reaching for the eyeballs of another. Like, it just all fell apart for me in this segment. And it's hard. And I'm going to phrase this carefully. There is a rich tradition of ambulance backstage fights in pro wrestling.
Yes, the large historical context.
So many good ones, and they're fighting in and out of ambulances and whatnot.
I was there when they used to take them to the hospital after people had problems, not the local medical center.
I remember back when a bald gentleman picked up a kick and went plow on another man's chest, which should have been murder, but no. And then another man who bedpanned him as well.
Those were both in hospital. I remember the same bald gentleman getting carted out of the arena earlier in the night, and for the main event, drove said ambulance back by himself, having stolen it from the EMTs to arrive and kick the butt of an aged macaroni man.
Absolutely. And then one other time, he threw a man off a bridge, and that's murder. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Who are these characters, and why are we not doing them more often?
Oh, why these sort of Statler and Waldorf at Kmart characters? These are great.
I thought it was Dollar Tree.
I was on sale once.
Sale? They couldn't give you away.
This is where we're at. I went full peanut gallery for this one. Like
it was problematic to begin with.
What are we doing?
And also, both you and I were watching this probably, and also we had gotten kind of exhausted because we're used to watching 2 hours. We weren't up for this strain of 3 hours anymore. So going into it, we had to do that. And then they cut to Jay White versus Dante Martin.
For some reason.
It's a match.
It was fine.
Yeah.
I don't know why they were here. I like watching Dante Martin. Every time
Jay White,
I'm like, fantastic. Jay White, some good stuff in here. Great.
Yeah.
Where are we going? What are we doing? Why are we here?
Also, Dante Martin, you sent your backup away with the gun still at ringside. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Luckily, they were kicked out of ringside, but like, huh?
So there were a lot of community theater miscues in Rampage, and we'll talk about them as we go.
Yes.
I don't know. They knew they were doing a 3-hour block, right? They knew this was coming.
I mean, did they expect that they would have a high flyer in Martin and Jay White, who is a consummate professional? They were enough to basically pick it up from what had just happened, where everyone got emotionally blasted by Kenny Omega basically dying in front of them. Like, I don't know what they expected. Like, no one could probably follow that. I feel for these two. But why sacrifice them when you could have done like 3 other promos that came afterwards that had no life to them? Like
if you had put this on Dynamite, it probably could have fit a little better, depending on where you put it.
In the Joe spot.
Sure. And then start this thing off with Joe squashing somebody? Yeah. Kennedy?
Yeah.
Sure.
Exactly.
I don't know.
There's not much on the highlights of this. The two of them work really well together. Jay White was grounding Dante's high-flying antics. Jay White kicked out of the nosedive. No one's done that in a while. And he got a sick blade runner on him to basically win the match. By himself, proved what he was doing, and then kicked Dante Martin in the head a couple times afterwards. Basically, kind of your run-of-the-mill, we've got nothing for you. We want to show off that stuff that makes sure that you as a singles wrestler still are viable. We'll give you a win.
Yeah.
I can't go any farther
like
than
a AEW Dark type of thing, right? Something that for the fans who showed up earlier, stayed late.
Who are already tired.
Or almost house show worthy, yeah.
And we cut backstage to Dianna Perazzo and her promo. Mikey is not here. I know he loves Dianna a lot. I enjoy Dianna as a wrestler, but she cannot cut a promo to save her life right now.
She's been having a rough go. And I'm not sure if that's... Those first 2-3 months when she got here, was throwing some good heat for the most part.
She had a personal vendetta against her, so that kind of made sense.
And it kind of lost a little bit of steam the way the Tony Storm stuff played out, and now is definitely floundering a little bit with this. Who am I to Thunder Rosa? Who am I fighting for this thing?
Right.
We've seen her cut better promos. This was not her best. I'm wondering if God, again, not to lean on the acting stuff, but what are you fighting for? Why are you here? You came all the way to Canada, theoretically, to say this.
Theoretically, yes.
Why say this now here?
And especially on Rampage.
Yeah, there's a reason this has to be said. Why? And instead of just spitting out exposition with an angry face, still looking beautiful, but also what? But
you could tell she was in her head about remembering the spots she had to talk about,
right,
and not giving it emotion to make us care.
Mm-hmm. That's tough. Can we do an acting school for wrestling? Is that a thing?
I mean, if you listen to Cody Rhodes, they just send them to real acting school. That's what he did. I think you would have to be acting tutors on the road that you could find time with these wrestlers in between workouts and everything else to kind of work on them with their stuff. But when you don't have a lot of the scripts ahead of time to give the time to work on it, it's live TV trying to figure it out. It's like trying to give acting lessons to people on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, that's fair, I guess. Well, that'd be a cool job.
I would love it. Hire me in a second. I would be there as a personal acting coach for any of these folks.
We gotta look into that and see if that's a thing.
Yeah, we'll open our own agency, J&J.
Sorry, Rampage was so good. We're talking about careers we want to have.
Well, I'm surprised because your favorite thing in the world's coming up next because we had a big Bill promo with Renee.
It's so good.
Jericho comes out and he wants to prove himself. He is here to be under the learning tree. Oh, God. And then Melting Jericho comes out and smiling with his pearly whites. I love Bill's actual break of character. He broke when he got called the Big Redwood.
Yeah, okay.
He's like, what? Yeah, I can do that, yeah. I want your opinion on this. This is your favorite kind of thing set up here. You've been really enjoying these, where I was like, this is passable at best for me, I guess.
I mean, it's so bad. It's funny. It's so bad. It
It
makes
is
no
very
sense.
bad.
It makes no sense. It's perfect. I've been a professional in this industry for almost 20 years. I've held championships. You know what I need to do? I need to learn from. I need
Chris
you.
Jericho.
I need to be under your learning tree. That's what I need. And just smile at the camera like, yep, that's what I'm doing. Like, what?
And Jericho leaning into, I need to bring you into my vortex.
Yeah.
The mid-card vortex and put you under the learning tree.
I don't mind that Chris Jericho's sort of leaning into that. I'm the cool youth pastor guy, like long hair, teeth, no shirt, invites you out all the time, vibe, and just waving, go with God thing.
You mean like a Nickelodeon Predator from the 90s? Yeah, I got it. I knew that would pop you. I knew it would.
So good. Oh, why is there a blue dot on your house? Yeah, I just, he's leaning into it. He's trying to make things happen. Fine. Call him a redwood. I don't know if we can make that to air.
It's totally gonna. But we have now Big Bill prostrating himself to the Jericho learning tree. I don't know. He's going to get pretty much, a lot.
I can't hear learning tree without thinking of Under the Umbrella Tree, a Canadian classic from the late 80s. That's all I hear. Under the umbrella
tree.
Maybe I'm different.
Whereas all I want to see is a drawing of Chris Jericho as the giving tree. Chopped down, melted, and it's just like his hair, and he's trying to still tell people to do stuff.
Is it Bill and hand drawings coming to the tree? I wish I had this. Well, take my limbs and make a boat. Okay. Oh, my God.
And there's Shabata walking at him in a trash can.
With the dueling.
Yep.
I heard you are a tree.
Renee, you look lovely tonight.
This is how good Rampage started, folks.
I don't know if it's so bad it's good, but you're turning me around on this a bit, and I'm kind of leading into it. Like, I did enjoy watching this.
When you think of the decisions they had to make to get to this point, someone went, you know what's a good idea? Bill and Jericho. And a room of people went, you know what? You're right. And Bill went along with it.
Bill probably feels like he can't get out of it to begin with. He's just like, I'm going to ride this as far as it is and make as much money with Jericho as I can.
What's the Bela Lugosi movie that was so bad it killed him?
Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Plan 9 from Outer Space. That's where we're at, people. We're at
it's Ed Wood level at this point.
Do bad things, and people will like it. And they're just, you know what? You're right. Let's make the wrong decision. Like, oh my God, you're doing it.
All I'm seeing with this is like Jericho basically costing Bill matches from now to eternity based on small corrections he's trying to make, and then getting mad at Bill for not doing it right.
And Bill just going, you know what, I did that wrong, when actually he did it right, when actually he could have done, like, just always observing that. It's so incorrect. It's going to work.
We will have to see. It's going to continue to be on our screens as we go forward. We cut from them and that learning tree to Swerve backstage with an ice pack on his head where his dread had been ripped out, and he says he's not coming alone next time. He learned his lesson with the patriarchy, and gives us the other half of the story with the whole thing with him losing and costing Christian that tag match at Wembley and all the other good stuff. They did another good job. We're furthering the storyline without having to have a match between the two. I'm invested. Let's see what happens at Double or Nothing.
I thought it was great. You said it. I agree.
We're getting a contract signing next week. That's all we know. Then we get the match that was teased on Dynamite as Kyle O'Reilly is going to take on Rocky Romero, two friends literally ripping each other apart in half, technically destroying each other.
I kind of wanted him to wrestle with the eye patch. Is there a reason he didn't wrestle with the eye patch?
It's an affectation.
That's fair. Solid match. I'm warming up to the Kyle. They're great in the ring.
O'Reilly.
Like you said. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah. I didn't hate this.
No, it was a nice kind of change of pace to see a match.
Yes, it's very different. Yeah. Hey, we're seeing wrestling. they worked at a very frenetic pace the first half of this. I thought they were moving really, really, really fast.
Oh yeah.
Which is fine. Like they knew the spots, they know each other, they work well together. Great. I'm a little. There was some stuff in the second half where I was like, I'm not sure if they got off track or if they were tired.
I think they purposely slowed it down a bit for some reason. I don't know, like either they just stretched for time or something.
I wonder if if they felt like they were going fast, or if the ref was like, "Hey guys, take a breath," like or whatever.
Right.
But a solid match. I enjoyed it. I'm having a hard time remembering any spots because I watched it and didn't take notes. Like,
the leg breaks, Kyle taking out his legs to slow Rocky down was really good.
Sure.
Rocky basically running circles around him, doing a couple things off the top rope and taking him out. And cool. Both of them kind of grounding each other. They knew each other very well. They definitely played up the friendship aspect of it. It was a very good, hard-hitting match.
Which is, and we've had this happen a few times where, hey, we're friends, let's go do a match, and it's kind of a training match or a pickup match, as opposed to like, no, let's swing and bring it type of thing. This was great.
So, I gotta ask you here, Bill and Jericho, so bad it's good for you. Saraya and Harley. Also so bad it's good?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Because I laughed at this, and if you don't know, Professor, if you haven't like followed these promos they've been doing, Harley is unhinged.
I've seen the spoon. The spoon one's quite funny.
That's the spoon. That was this week.
That was great.
Yeah. There have been towels. There have been other things. It started with her pulling a knife that she somehow got from catering and was going to murder somebody with. And Saraya was like, where did you get that from catering? I brought it myself. Harley's unhinged. Saraya is spinning her wheels, but also was like, I need to take out Serena and take out Tony. Like, we're kind of done with this.
Yeah.
I want a match to happen between somebody here, but I feel like they're just not getting to it. And I don't know how much longer they can push this.
I wonder if
she's going to run out of stuff in the drawer.
Have they recorded 20 of these and they're just going to let them ride for a while?
Did Harley Cameron just get a set of kitchen utensils for like some birthday?
And she's fork to thing. Yeah. His birthday candle. Like, what's happening?
Tongs, colander, all these great things. I don't know. It was a nice laugh to have. It was a nice kind of again. It was funny.
And it kind of set up like it set the bar too high for the next promo, because then the next promo kind of went, what are we doing?
Well, that's because Roddy Strong is king of the limbo. He just goes under the bar all the time. And even with Taven and Bennett backing him up, the Undisputed Kingdom can't save Roddy Strong from a badly delivered promo that would have worked half a year ago if they had stuck with the character.
I don't know what they're doing with him.
He doesn't know what they're doing with him.
I guess, sometimes he looks at the camera like he's forgotten how to talk. Like,
I don't think he can forget something he's never known how to do.
Yeah, and then just glazes over like, what are you doing? You've been doing this a long time.
He literally did this stuff half a year ago with the screaming the names, and he can't seem to do it now.
Because he had a reason to scream the names before. No one was listening to him, and his neck was broken. Now he's just he's got a nervous tick where he just says someone's name. Like, I don't know. That was
got in his catchphrase. He got in. He's the Messiah, the backbreaker. He's going to break Will Ospreay. It's not going to happen. Oh no, God! It just was. It was horrendous and didn't need to be there. We know you're going to fight him, and he'll have a good match because you can have a good match. You are the Dean Malenko of your generation. Stop talking.
But I like Dean Malenko.
I know you do. You like Dean Malenko. We all don't gif this, but you like Dean Malenko.
Sorry, Mike. The psychological gesture works.
Sometimes it always does.
You say certain names and then your body just does something. It's weird.
So I feel this is a disservice for our main event.
What is?
Because I don't have many notes. Because I was enthralled watching this Manitoba Massacre. These falls count anywhere between Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale. This was my overall match of the night. These two took risks that could have been done better in a lot of other matches. They took it to different places. The brainbuster onto the tacks from the second rope.
Which
Willow got the worst of that.
Worst of it, yeah.
Which was what is supposed to happen. But
so what was weird? So Daddy Magic looks
looks. Sounds like old school Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
And in an eerie sort of whoa inflection and what he's calling and what he's doing, I really like him on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
I think he brings something to that color commentary, and gave the women their due the entire time,
As
and
he
sort of-
always does.
It did, and it could have been really unappealing for him to be like, "Hey, so what are the rules here? False cut anywhere, right?" Like, duh, of course, that's what it is. But the way he did it was, "Hey, I'm kind of busy. I'm just reminding myself those are the rules, right?" Like the way he set those things up, so
Yes.
much finesse and charisma to do that.
Mhm.
Man, that was really impressive. And I only speak to that because usually commentary cuts the women down and makes these matches awful. They didn't, and with just a little bit of that push and foundation from the booth, my God.
Mhm. It's weird. You take
Totally
Taz out and you stick in another wrestler, and all of a sudden the booth is great.
We see the problem. Fix the problem.
Luckily, the problem wasn't in the ring.
No.
Between the table spots, and I'm not talking about the last table spot, like other table spots, the under the ring stuff with the chairs.
Yeah.
Willow cannonballing off the apron and eating it on the chair, sacrificing her body that way. I gotta ask though, Professor, do you honestly believe? So the final bump of the match, Willow had put a table out, Sky Blue rolls out, puts a barbed wire board on top of it.
Mhm. The Terry Funk
Will-
board? Yeah.
Very Terry Funk board with the duct tape and everything.
Yeah.
Sky Blue gets Dr. Bombed through it. And I think Willow still took the worst of it. She looked like she actually sliced open and hurt herself, and I was worried she had done worse. Because her selling with the way she was walking, the selling is after in the celebration, she was not in a good spot.
Let's take a look right here.
Meanwhile, I think Sky Blue died because she's like in the barbed wire and not
She's
moving.
in the barbed wire.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah,
But
Willow
watch the sit
Willow-
down on it.
Yeah, her right after the match, you see that shiver of what adrenaline and shock almost of what she's just gone through.
And it could be the tax, but I feel like
Sky
she
Blue's
cut
just
something
still
close to a
sitting
femoral
there.
artery on her leg.
You think so? Did they show it?
They didn't show it, but the way she was hobbling afterwards, tax can do that. You get those shocks. Stevie
Well, if
Richards
she got
is a
a,
great
well,
whole
if
thing
she
on
got
top
a
of that.
femoral, then she has like 30 seconds to live. So I hope.
Yeah,
she
I said it was
made
close to it, but like that's why I think like she really
Ooh,
cut up
hang
the
on a
back of her
second.
legs. Yep.
The camera
seeing?
shows she turns for like a hot second. Ooh, and you can kind of see it. Kind of a red streaky thing. I don't want to assume that's blood. There looks
Yeah.
like she might have. Ooh, yeah, she might have got herself on something. Also, looks like her knee got tweaked outward in a weird ass direction from there. That the board let her slip those knees a different direction.
Which worries me that she's injured going into now her match with Mercedes, which is not what we wanted.
She's standing on her own accord, but you could see on her face like that's not how I wanted that to go.
Yeah,
Chris is
I
there
kind of
holding
caught
her
that
up, so-
too.
Ooh,
That was not selling.
Yeah, there was some stuff there that looked a little too close to home. But again, like we were saying about the other hardcore match, that was a hardcore match.
Yeah.
There were do dangerous things safely, and then of course things happen, and you don't mean for them to.
Always.
Willow taking those tacks, and what was interesting, and the women were smart. Jericho used hockey pucks, so then the crowd goes, "Oh, they got a hockey pucks again?" No, not this time. We're doing the tack thing. So
Exactly.
you hear the crowd get that shocked pop of like, "Oh, they're doing what?" This was a great match, and it's quite possibly on my short list for things to rewatch at the end of the year when we start
Yep.
talking matches of the year and just things to think about for the end.
A surprisingly bloodless Falls Count Anywhere match.
Yeah, like Sky Blue, she got cut from somewhere. I'm not sure if that was a blade or if it happened,
Mhm.
but it didn't become
A mask.
some sort of it didn't become what it could have been. I'm trying to think if I have anything to really speak to. There's nothing to say other than go watch this, folks. This was fun. It's great.
This was better than anything Dynamite had. This
It
was
was-
the best match
Wait, if
that the night
this
had.
was the match of if you have 3 hours to wait for this one at the end, that's what you want. That's the one.
And it's what, honestly, I loved it there. So, Professor, what is your empanada rating for Rampage, the short hour we got?
Oh man, the match of the night makes the match of the night. This should be, if that set the tone, this should be a 9 out of 10. It did not. There were some awkward things in here, some miscues in here. Good matches, like stuff that wasn't like, oh god, what am I watching? The way this kicked off and started put me in sort of a what are we doing place. Yeah, I never really shook that off, which is unfortunate.
Yes.
So in the back of my mind, watching this the whole time, was like, yeah, I can't reconcile Kenny Omega dying, not dying, ambulance thing, whatever. Why is Jet right in just that rabbit hole ruminating on that thing,
which we get no
right. So that's unfortunate. This should be much higher. I respect that the women got 11, 12 minutes to end this thing in the right way. I will give it extra points for that, but it's still coming up on 7, 5, 8.
Which I'm surprised, because your comedy gold was in this the entire time.
I know. I like things. I was there, but everything else around it fell so mute. That's unfortunate.
I'm going to give it a higher rating than Dynamite. I'm going to give it a 7.5. It flowed better. It had some weird stuff in it. I wasn't as off-put by the Omega stuff because I got to see it all the way through on the network. But yeah, it wasn't much higher than that as well.
Yeah. We're having around the same feelings for it for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of want this. Made me. I love Sky Blue. Like I've said, I really like Sky Blue. It made me really want to see more Sky Blue stuff.
And hopefully they're going to be doing that soon, because Julia's not around to carry her, so she's got to do something. Be that spoopy girl.
I would love to see if there was a women's hardcore title, throw it on Sky Blue.
Interesting. That's an interesting choice. I could also see a weird death match where everyone gets to fight for it at some point, but
sure. Like, and I
it'll
think
be fun.
That would give Sky Blue something to fight for. That would give her kind of a hook. That people of Chicago would love that.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And she's shown she's willing to take the risk. And hopefully Willow's not hurt, but if you're gonna do crazy things, I think she could take it
easily. And you know what you can also take? Our word that you need to go back and watch some of these matches and make sure that you enjoy this, because we've come to the end of our extended edition review. I hope you enjoyed the weird orc cameos that we had there, and John Reese Davies also complaining about makeup. But in general, we fully appreciate you sticking with us through the longer version of this. Tell everyone you can about it. Let them know to come and listen to us here. Professor, it's always fun when it's just the two of us, because we just tangent, have fun, and all that good stuff.
We created characters this time. We have characters.
We did. Created? They've been inside us all along, just like my uncle. Oh, sorry.
Wait. Oh, no.
Oh. Ooh.
No, stop. Go. No, go.
That's for the tangent podcast that we'll do. But, as usual, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming in through our machinations with some unknown elder god to get you here. We appreciate you sticking through, because you're biconic. We're all biconic here, every one of us. And we'll see you in the next video.
Well, again, why don't me to tell you what to do? I mean, just don't.
Really? You don't need to tell me what to do?
No. This is a John paradox. This is going to... We're not going to get out of this. You hit record. Oh. I'm glad I didn't say anything leading, though. Okay, good.
No, you were fine. You were fine. And I can edit it out, remember. I'm working on that.
Ave Maria.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.